Antman and the Wasp are coming out in a brand new movie, or really, it's the third iteration of their movie franchise, Antman and the Wasp: Quantumania. Now, one of the things I wasn't a huge fan of was the simple name change of Ant-Man and the Wasp, but I understand what they're going for. That's just what they do. They didn't want to do away with Ant-Man, but that remains to be seen. One of the things I do want to talk about, however, is how in Ant-Man and the Wasp, the first one, when it comes to Ant-Man the movie, the very first one, that one was my favorite. Honestly, it was the best one. I love the special effects and actually showing how his powers work, but the way they did it, I loved how the complete perspective shift. That was the big thing that really got me in, or pulled me into the story. It took me back really to the time frame of Honey, I Shrunk the Kids and Honey, We Shrunk Ourselves and things like that. Or Arrietty, the Secret World of Arrietty, and the Borrowers, and all these different storylines that, or different movies and books and stories that tell or kind of really pull you into this almost fictional world that you get to see right in front of your eyes, and how the whole universe kind of shifts around him, or really he's shrunk down the way he is using the Pym particles. And when I used to read the comic books of Ant-Man, that's what I always liked seeing in the comics, is how he was always he was in the regular world. He was in the normal world of the one that we live in, but his entire perspective shifts, and you get pulled into this storyline that really feels almost alien, but in reality it's Earth. The problem is that I'm noticing it when I'm seeing a lot of the trailers recently of Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, is that essentially the whole world just looks normal. It doesn't look smaller. And I get it, it's supposed to be the quantum realm, and storytelling wise I get what they're trying to do, but it doesn't look human. Nothing around you looks odd. It kind of looks like a regular world. And many people are going to say the same thing. And the fact is, that's what it looks like. And it's kind of sad, really, because it had great story potential. And I still hope that it's going to do good. Mainly because I enjoy the acting. I enjoy the cast, generally. I mean, although I'm sad that they did away with the young Cassie, his younger daughter. She was adorable. Just seeing how she interacted with her father and all of them. It added a whole new, well, not really, it just added a lighthearted tone to it that it already had plenty of lighthearted tones, but this one just added to it. And then it feels like they're trying to kind of push Scott to the side to a degree. I'm hoping that they don't. I'm hoping that he's still the primary focal point of the entire story. He is the main character of the story. He is Ant-Man. And sure, they want to call Ant-Man and the Wasp, but he's the focal point. He's the main character. The Wasp is his best friend, his girlfriend, or whatever she is at this point. But generally speaking, I enjoyed the storyline of the first movie. That was one of the best movies I'd seen in a while. And personally, it was one of my favorites in the MCU. It may not be a standout movie in the MCU, but it's a great one. Now, personally, I do hope that they at least outdo Ant-Man 2, Ant-Man and the Wasp Part 2, Ghost and all that. Ghost was one of the main characters I was kind of saddened by, mainly because I grew up with the more mercenary-esque, Ghost character in the comics, and also one of the best examples, I'd say, outside the comic books. For those who don't know, obviously not everyone is into comic books. So, for a more mainstream source, look at Iron Man Armored Adventures. If you've ever seen this animated series, you should really check it out. It honestly was one of my favorite adaptations of Iron Man, but it has Ghost in this series, and honestly, that's how I expected it to be this way.
You again! Don't you know when to quit?
So you sell the specs to both Stain and Hammer? Which one did you double-cross?
Stain, if you must know.
And now they have my armor and my identity!
I get you're angry, Tony, but it's nothing personal. Just business. Time to end this. I've got a private plane I just bought waiting for me.
When it comes to this entire subgenre of movies, one of the things that I noticed when it comes to the MCU, they don't like to focus on keeping the characters that are more small scale. They like to blow all of them up into these massive scale heroes. But one of the fun aspects of these characters like Ant-Man or Spider-Man is that they're not massive scale heroes, but they do amazing things. And they protect still many people. The whole city of New York, they protect a whole lot of people. But it's generally the fact that they want to make all these characters Avengers, and not all of them are. Now Ant-Man, he is one of the Avengers, but he handled a lot more small scale things at times. And that's one of the things I enjoyed. And however, I do enjoy seeing Ant-Man as Giant Man as well. When I see him as a giant, it's one of the more entertaining scenes because they also show this perspective shift of, you know, everything being smaller and then him being larger. So naturally, it looks cool. Now, I would like to see some more fun features where it shows him as a giant, but his perspective is everything's so small. It would be awesome to actually see his perspective more in the storytelling. One of the things I noticed is that the daughter is going to be a big big focal point, and
We'll still need help, Dad.
That's why we made this.
It's like a satellite for deep space, but quanta.
Wait a minute. You're sending a signal down to the quantum realm.
they are kind of doing the trope that I've noticed that they've been doing with many of these movies, is making all the characters that are female into super geniuses. And I understand that there's supposed to be things that happen in between the first movie, second movie, and the third movie that are supposed to show the daughter is smart, I guess. But it's kind of like, if they're not going to show an excerpt of this whole scenario, then that kind of defeats the purpose, because she's just suddenly smart. That's not character development. Now I understand that she's the daughter of a brilliant man, but she wasn't around him. Intelligence develops when you're around intelligent people, or you're at least nurtured in that scenario. It seemed, based on what I saw, she wasn't. It almost appeared as though Cassie, the character Cassie, was almost, I don't know, based on if you've seen Avengers Endgame or Avengers Infinity War, actually, sorry, if you've seen Avengers Endgame, they show an actual scene where, when she meets her father again, meets Ant-Man again, she's kind of in a far different area than where she was before with her family. They used to live in a more expensive, more impressive house. It almost looked as though she was kind of homeless, like as though she had, I'm just kind of spitballing here, but she seemed as though maybe she was raised in a foster home at this point, and when she found her parents, it was after the blip. So if she's living with her parents again, maybe they were erased too in the blip. It's kind of hard to say. There's a lot of things that they didn't really show in Ant-Man, because it's a trailer. They might show more in the Ant-Man movie. Who knows? I'm hoping they actually do show what happened, but I want to know how she's so intelligent, not just, oh, she's smart. That's not a story. That's out of nowhere, out of the blue. People don't just get smart overnight. It's through development. Now, there are people who are innately capable of learning things quickly, and it comes naturally to them. That's different. They still can show that. They can show cutscenes or simple, flashbacks of her learning things, trying to develop herself so that she can live a good life. They could do something along those lines where she just gravitates towards it. But from what I gathered, she was just this sweet little girl. That's all. She was kind and a little nutty at times because of her father, and that's all it was. So I'm hoping that's what they show more of. Anyway, I may have rambled here and there, but one of the things I do want to see too in the Ant-Man movie, and Ant-Man Quantumania, is, like I said, I want to see more of him, but I also want to see more of, the previous Ant-Man, Hank Pym, more often in the movie, not just pushed to the side as well. He's kind of one of my more favorite characters in the MCU, mainly because the actor, he's just kind of funny. I enjoy his appearance in the entire MCU. He adds a richness to the storyline that just makes it fun, and his banter between him and Scott just make the movie. Honestly, their interactions are the best. Anyway, now that I've spoken my mind about all this, share your thoughts down below in the comments. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time, and bye.